Welcome to another WPHubSite video. This video is going to help you configure the SEO settings for blog posts, pages, categories, pretty much everything. Any content, forward-facing content pages that face the world, you're going to want to configure SEO settings for each one. So I'm going to go over how to configure all of those settings. This is assuming you've already completed the site-wide SEO settings. There are actually a lot of different SEO things controlled from the site-wide SEO. So if you haven't been through that video thoroughly, then make sure you watch that one fully, or at least check out the help article and go through every piece of that, because then you're going to be much better equipped for this video. So the first place we're going to start is a blog post. That's what I'm on right here. This is just a generic blog post. I'm logged in already to my WPHubSite account. You can see I have the toolbar across here. So if you're logged into your account, then you'll see that and you can get right to SEO settings from there. If not, log into your account. You can also get there from the dashboard. I'll show you both ways. So if you're on a blog post already and logged in, you can just click this edit post link on here at the top. That's going to bring you to the page to edit this specific blog post. That's where you're going to find all the SEO settings for specific blog posts. If you're on a page, you'll see edit page. You can do the same thing, or you can be on the back end. So if I'm on my website backend, I can just go to posts and then all posts. If you want to do SEO for pages, you just go to pages, all pages. But in order to get to the SEO settings, you can hover over any of your posts. This is assuming you're doing this for posts that are already created. If you're creating a new post, then you'll see the settings there also. If you click edit, then you'll get to the edit post screen where you can change, or page, you'll see the back end of the page. You can change the title, and then if you're using Site Builder, you'll see the Site Builder screen here. But this SEO section will always be here. So I'm going to actually create a new post. I'm going to come over here and in all posts, add new. And here we are. I can add the title and I can start adding content. I'm going to take it off of full screen. I don't really like full screen mode for the block editor. But anyway, since there's no content in here, you can see the SEO settings are right here at the top. So in order for you to see the SEO settings, there has to be a title. So here's a title for my blog post, and then for the content, we'll just put some lorem ipsum text. We'll put a little line break there. Now we have 2 blocks. And then we'll come down here to the SEO settings. You'll notice nothing's actually there yet. We'll go ahead and save draft first. Once we save the draft, then we'll have some default SEO settings in there. So here's the SEO settings, and you'll see it pulled in the blog post title, and then it used from your site-wide settings. You set up the separator. So there's the separator. I have this as a hyphen, and then this is a site title. So it's going to pull that in automatically. For blog posts, that's probably the perfect formula for your SEO title. But as far as what SEO title is, if you don't know, if you search Google or any other search engine, you'll see this is kind of what they look like, what a search result looks like. Or you'll have the favorite icon, and then here's the site title. And then if it's a blog post, you'll have the date, and then you'll have, this is the meta description right here. We'll get to that in a second, but this is mobile. You can cycle to see what it looks like on desktop. There again, site title, and then meta description. Google does have a little bit of information. So here, if we search WPHubSite, there you can see site title, and then meta description. And then again, site title, meta description. So pretty much every blog post, of course, there's a little additional information, like the URL, things like that, but you can control, for the most part, the site title and the meta description for every single page and post you make. Now, the thing is, Google is very loose in what it uses for the site title and meta description. Google doesn't necessarily use what you include here. Some other search engines might be a little better at using what you formulated. Google will pull its own meta description in based on the content of your page most of the time, but sometimes it does use the meta description, so it's always a good idea to write a good, helpful site title and meta description for every blog post you do. Site title, or title of it, just use the name of the blog post. I never put anything in for that. I just leave that as the default. But meta description, you always want to formulate that. Don't rely on just leaving it as is. And then you'll notice in the site title, there's characters, pixels, and characters here. You definitely don't want to go over 60 characters for the site title. I say you definitely shouldn't. That's the maximum Google will generally read, but you can go a few characters over. It's not going to hurt. Google will pick the site title anyway, so it doesn't matter, or you'll get a little bit more information that you need, but only use that if you absolutely must. That's just a little SEO tip. And then the meta description, same thing, 160 characters. You generally don't want to go over that. You can, but again, Google is going to truncate that, or in most cases, they're not going to use it anyway, so it doesn't necessarily matter. So as far as blog post SEO settings, these are the major two things that you have to change. You can use the post excerpt. Now if you come over here in the block editor to post, the post tab, and then go to excerpt, you can write an excerpt here, which the WPHubSite theme does use. It'll use it like on blog archive pages to show kind of what the blog post is about. So you can write an excerpt here, and then you can also use it for the meta description. And then you can post the post excerpt here. So there I entered a post excerpt. If I save a draft of this, then you're going to see it update in the Google snippet preview. So by default, here's the post excerpt. See, I entered a post excerpt and boom, there it is. Shows as the default in the meta description and the default over here. You don't even really necessarily need this button because by default it uses the post excerpt, but you can enter other things too, like separators, site titles. You can formulate them entirely automated based on different information of the post. So those are good. That kind of stuff is good for tags, things like that. But again, those you're definitely going to want to do in the site-wide SEO settings, so not necessarily the settings on here on individual blog posts. Okay, so on with the SEO settings. There are some advanced settings that you can do for SEO. If you come over here in the Advanced tab, you can choose for individual pages and posts whether you want search engines to index them. So if you don't want a specific page indexed, you can select this box and it'll put a special tag on that page that tells search engines, hey, please don't index this page. Now it's ultimately up to the search engine if they actually index it or not. Search engines you could have the no index tag on there and the search engine could still index it. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the technology and there's nothing you can do about that. You can also add things to not follow the links on the page. So if you don't want Google to index the page or follow any links on it, then you can select no follow, and so on. There's all kinds of different settings for advanced settings. And then there's a canonical URL, so you probably wouldn't use this in most cases unless this post is, maybe you're reposting some information from another website. But you're going to get dinged if you're posting duplicate content to your blog unless you use the canonical URL. You can actually put the original post where the original post came from, so the other website. you can put that URL in the canonical URL, and it tells Google that, hey, this content is not original to my site. This is the original to it. This is the one you should index, not my page. And you also should not ding me for reposting the same duplicate content. And then also, if you've put this post, if you're in a blog post in the advanced settings, you can choose what, if you have multiple categories selected, you could choose what category is the default. I don't really always recommend putting blog posts in multiple categories, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Now, as far as custom breadcrumbs, if you have breadcrumbs in your website, enabled in your website, you can turn those on or off in the WPHubSite theme, but you can actually customize what the breadcrumbs show. So say you're on a page and the title of the page is just unruly long. You don't want that huge long name showing up in the breadcrumbs. So if you have like contact such and such and such and such city, that's kind of long, so you might just want to put contact us in there instead, and that'll shorten the breadcrumbs information. I'm going to take that out. Okay, so next up on the SEO section is social. You can set up custom social stuff for any blog post. You probably don't want to in most cases, because the featured image, unless you create an image for each social network specific to their size, that's a lot of work though, so you might want to choose a general size and just use a featured image. And then by default, that feature image will be used for Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all those things. But you can customize them here. You can put in a custom title that Facebook will scrape from your website. You can also put in a custom description. By default, it's going to use the SEO site title and meta description. If you, for whatever reason, you needed something custom, you can do that here. And again, you can set up a custom thumbnail for each one. So you can set up a custom Facebook thumbnail, and you can set up a custom Twitter thumbnail. Again, that's probably a lot of additional work for you and not necessary. Just stick to a good general size for the featured image. That's all I ever do, and it seems to work out just fine. As long as you're not putting a bunch of text or anything like that on your featured image, you should be okay. Now, there's also this redirection tab. You can set up redirections on any page, like if you wanted to keep the page around, but you didn't want people to land on it, you wanted to instead redirect them to another page. Maybe you're disabling a page and you want to send them to another one, but you want to keep the old one just for reference. You can go onto the page and set up the redirection there. And then all you have to do is click the Enable Redirection box, select the type of URL redirection, which is likely permanent, but you could be doing something temporary. I don't know. You'll have to look and make sure what works for you there. But most of the time, it's going to be a 301 redirect. And then just paste the full URL to where you want to redirect people. And that's all you have to do. Once you publish that page again or update it or save it or whatever, then that redirect will take place. Now there's one tab I don't have on here. It's video, because I don't have the video sitemap enabled for this. But let me go enable that real quick. In fact, let me publish this post. And I'm going to actually go over to SEO and then over to sitemap. And I'm going to enable the video sitemap just so I can show you how this works. And then I'll come back over here to all posts. And then I'm going to edit that post that I just created, and I actually just published it too. You'll see I have update instead of publish on here. So now you'll see after redirection, I have a video sitemap. So if this blog post was a video or had a video in it or something, you can actually put it in the video sitemap, or you can exclude it. But you'll see this little tab here. If you have multiple videos on here, you can even post multiple videos in the sitemap. So you could post each video in here. And so we click on that, and it expands all the information. So you can put the URL of the video. So that might be the YouTube You can, if the video is not hosted externally, you can select that and put the URL on your server right there. But there are certain things that are required, like the title, description, all of this. And it's going to actually put this information in your video sitemap. So that's another thing that Google can crawl and actually put on videos.google.com. So if you come over here into Google, come into videos, boom, you can, your videos are more likely to have more helpful information in here. So once you do that, once you configure all of these settings, then you of course can update your post. And there you go. Now that will be in the video sitemap. I didn't put anything in, so it's not putting anything in there. But if I did, then it would add an entry into the video sitemap. And then of course, if you want to add another one, you can add a second video or a third or a fourth. You can add multiple videos that you have on a page as long as it's relevant and helpful to that page. Okay, and right below this, the SEO section, you'll see content analysis. This is helpful merely in that it can help guide your SEO, how you optimize a page. It's definitely not, it doesn't have any actual effect on your page. You can put a keyword in here and it's not like Google sees that keyword and says, oh, I'm going to rank them for that keyword. That's not what this is for, and that's not what any SEO plugin is for. It's merely guidance for guiding yourself for editing the content. So in order to show you the content analysis, I went ahead and just duplicated the content more. I have 331 words. I basically just copied. I can see what's going on. My SEO is still really bad for the term lorem ipsum. I have an open graph tag set up, but I'm missing images. I don't have a featured image here. I can fix that real quick by selecting an image, set featured image, and if I refresh my analysis, well, I have to update the page first. So now I refresh the analysis, and you'll see, oh, the social meta tags is actually down here now because now I have an image, so it's green. But there's still a whole bunch not good, like the alt text. I don't have an alt text for that. Sometimes you don't want an alt text though, so don't listen to it if you don't want one. Headings. So my keyword's not found in any H2 headings. In fact, I don't even have any H2 or H3 headings. The keyword is not in the permalink. That's over here. I don't have it, but I can add that real quick, update, and then if I refresh my analysis, keyword in permalink. Now it is. Meta title, it's not there. Oh, I have lorem ipsum, not lorem ipsum, so that's why it says it's not in my title. I thought I put it there, but it's not there. And then meta description, not there. But that's because I didn't really put a meta description in. And you can also get recommendations. You can get recommendations from Google. If you click this, you can get, basically what this does is, here, I'll show you. So what this does is, well, this page, oh, I'm on the video section, that's why. If you come down to the bottom, lorem ipsum translation, you'll see it basically pulls related searches that Google thinks is related to this and plugs them in down here, so then you can quickly add some of those to your target keywords. Again, don't focus too much on target keywords. They can be a black hole for a time and you'll never get that time back, and that's likely not to pay off. But that's for a whole nother lesson. So some things that are actually helpful on here, and I would just take a quick gander at, make sure your alt texts are filled out if they're required. That's always important. Make sure your canonical URL is good. Make sure your title, meta description, those things are good. Keyword density, not real important. Permalink, just have a helpful permalink, and then of course social media or social meta tags. Make sure those are all there because your posts, if they're shared, posts or pages, if they're shared on social media, they will not look good if you don't have all this filled out. Make sure your meta robot stuff is all good. No follow links. It's not necessarily important not to have any no follow links. So it doesn't really matter. For outbound links, it's always a good idea to include some outbound links if they're helpful. It actually can make you look pretty good to have outbound links. Okay, and the last section of this SEO box is the structured data types. I recommend doing automatic structured data, which is schema. That's a lot easier, especially for blog posts, and you don't have to worry about it. But you can manually select a type for each article, and that might be a good idea. Like if you have a recipe for a blog post instead of just a general blog post, then by all means choose the recipe one. This is just a general article, so I'm not going to do any schema stuff for this or structured data. So you can even add multiple schema types. So you could have a blog post and you could add another one, and whoops, deleted that. And you could have a product also. You could really mess things up if you have too much schema and it's not all properly set up. It'll do you more harm than good. So just be sure you're doing it right. But yeah, if you have blog posts, set up automatic schema. That's always helpful. And then you don't have to worry about it. It just automatically sets up the title, description, a meta description, or the image, featured image, all that stuff. So search engines know exactly what they're getting themselves into and what your content is. Okay, so if you don't want to be bothered with any SEO stuff, if it just gets in your way and you want to get rid of it all, you can. You don't have to have this up here. It'll still be in the background, but you won't see it and you don't have to mess with it. These little 3 dots over here, you can click on that and click on Preferences and scroll down here to Additional Panels, and you can turn off SEO, Content Analysis, and Structured Data Types. If you don't want to mess with Content Analysis only, then just turn that off. If you just want SEO, then keep that on. I would recommend at least having SEO and Structured Data Type on there. Content Analysis, take it or leave it. Some people might want it because they find it helpful, but others may not. And if you find it just gets in the way, then by all means disable it. So I close that, and there, SEO and Structured Data Types are there, but the Content Analysis block is gone. Out of your way, not messing with you, doesn't get in your field of vision to mess up your post. And that's all there is to doing SEO for a blog post. It's the same concept for a page. You'll probably want to do things a little bit different in pages, so I'll go over here and show you. Okay, so I'm going to go in and edit this new WPHubSite page. So you'll see this page is actually a site builder page. You don't actually go into site builder, you don't need to go in there, but you have a page title here, of course, still, and you have a slug. You still have a featured image. Those are all relevant things to your SEO. And you'll notice the content analysis is gone here. It's gone site-wide. You won't see it unless you re-enable it. So for pages, you likely want to configure the title specifically for that page. You don't just want to rely on the defaults for pages. Blog posts, rely on the defaults, blog post -site. That's perfectly fine. But for pages, you want something very specific, very unique, that's going to tell search engines exactly what that page is about, and also the meta description. I would say for blog posts, you can just completely ignore the title, just leave the default as is, write a meta description. For pages, absolutely write a very specific title that fits into the 60 characters and write a very specific meta description that fits into 160 characters. Definitely do those too. And then social, again, just make sure you have a featured image. Redirect, you probably don't need to mess with that. That's all there is to it for pages. Same with, so let's go back over here to the post section and categories. So I don't have any categories set up, but let me set up a test category, just a generic, nothing special here. I can actually go into edit, and you'll see I have the same SEO section here. I don't have content analysis and I don't have structured data type. You can change the title and the meta description for each category. You can also set these up so the default uses the description for the category. That's actually helpful to do, because especially if you use that description in your theme, then you can use it in the theme and the meta description, so you don't have to duplicate your efforts. And then tags, same deal. You can go into the tags, edit the tag, and there you have an SEO section. Easy as that. So let me come back here. Actually, you can get in and change some very basic SEO settings for posts, pages, categories, and tags. You can actually do that from Quick Edit also. So let me actually go back into posts to show you that. So I can go to Quick Edit, and you'll see I can change the SEO title tag right there. So those are the only Quick Edit things I can change there, but you know, you can still do that easily from the Quick Edit. So there you go. The Quick Edit can get you at least the site title, not a whole lot. Let's see if it's the same in pages. Quick Edit, title tag. Yeah, that's all you can really change for Quick Edit for SEO settings, but it still can be helpful if you're just changing the site title. That's all there is to to SEO settings on pages, posts, categories, and tags. Definitely something you want to get out there and configure. Just make sure, like I said, go into SEO titles and metas. And this is covered in the site-wide SEO settings. Make sure you go through all these first. Set your separator. You don't necessarily need to do your site title, but you do need to do single post types. Pages, not so much, but posts are essential. This is where it gets that format for the post title, separator, and then site title. So make sure you set these. And then also you can choose whether you show the date or not in Google search results. So set these first. Make sure you go through the site-wide SEO settings video first, and then come over and watch this video and learn everything there is to your SEO settings for each post. It puts all kinds of cool content in your website for you. If you come over here to view the page, I'm going to open the information on this post, and you can see there's all these meta tags in here, description, your site title, all this stuff is pulled in automatically when you do your SEO settings. So search engines will use that. Social media networks will use that. It's essential to how people see your website when your content is shared on other sites. So whether it's on a search engine, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, all this information is very, very important. So your website looks good and looks clickable and not horrible before people even get there. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any additional questions about the SEO settings, even best practice, I'll definitely talk SEO if you want to email. All that information is in the description, so feel free to reach out. And thanks for watching this WP HubSite help video, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.